Parents who have read your teenager's diary. What did you discover that permanently changed your relationship? I'll never forget the day I found it. Vacuuming under my daughter Lily's bed. Her diary was tucked away. It fell open and there it was. My name underlined 3 times with I hate her in all caps. I should have closed it right there but I didn't. Lily at 16 had been distant, spending hours locked in her room. I thought it was just normal teen angst. But then I read about cutting, how she did it where no one would see, how the pain helped when everything felt too heavy. My hands shook so violently I could barely turn the pages. There were entries about thinking of dying, wondering if anyone would truly miss her, how she thought her dad might cry, but I would probably be relieved. She'd written a poem about disappearing, feeling like a ghost, screaming with no sound coming out. I sat on her floor horrified, reading for an hour. That's when I found the reason. The year before, my sister had been diagnosed with cancer. I had thrown myself into helping her, driving to chemo, watching her kids, cooking meals. I thought I was balancing everything. But through Lily's eyes, I had simply disappeared. Entry after entry detailed how I missed her soccer games, how I was always tired, how I never asked about her day, but spent hours on the phone talking about my sister. The worst entry was about her birthday. I'd promised to be home for dinner, but my sister had a bad reaction to treatment. I stayed at the hospital and completely forgot to call. Lily wrote, "Mom has a new daughter now. She doesn't need me anymore." She described waiting all night with the birthday cake she'd made herself, sitting at the table, checking her phone every few minutes until at midnight, she blew out her own candles and went to bed. I closed the diary and carefully put it back. Then I went to my room and cried until I couldn't breathe. That night, I told my husband I realized how much I'd been neglecting Lily. I didn't tell him about the diary, just my realization. His eyes widened. He'd been waiting months for me to see what he'd been seeing. He just hugged me. "Thank you." I was afraid we were losing her. The next day, I took Lily out for a surprise lunch. She was suspicious. When I gently asked about the cuts on her wrist, she pulled her sleeve down and said it was just the cat. I didn't push. Instead, I told her how much I missed spending time with her, how sorry I was for being so caught up in my sister's illness, that she would always be my priority. She asked why I was saying all this, what had changed. I just told her that sometimes, we don't see what's right in front of us until something wakes us up. She didn't say much, but when I dropped her back at school, she hugged me for the first time in months. I started keeping my promises. I made it to her games. I limited my sister talks to after Lily's bedtime. I set up weekly mother-daughter outings that were sacred. Nothing could interrupt them. I found her old cake recipe and surprised her with it one night, just because, telling her I wanted a do-over of her birthday. She looked at me strangely, but she smiled, a real smile. Her dad noticed the change almost immediately. He told me one night that he could hear her laughing again, that she'd started playing her music with the door open instead of locked inside with headphones. 3 months later, Lily left her diary open on her bed before leaving for school. I think she did it on purpose. The entry read, "Mom's back. I don't know what changed, but I'm glad." I found a new page where she crossed out her old poem and written a new one. About being seen, about someone fighting for you, even when you'd given up the fight yourself. I never told her I read her diary, but sometimes I think she knows. She's 19 now and in college. Last week she called just to check on me. Before hanging up, she said, "Thanks for fighting for me back then, Mom." I'm still not sure what she meant, but I know how close I came to losing her. Not to death, but to the slow death of neglect. Reading that diary changed everything. Probably saved her life. It definitely saved our relationship. My sister asks sometimes how I knew something was wrong with Lily. I just tell her that a mother knows. But the truth is, I almost didn't know.